Let's bring in Bakari Sellers, Angela Rye, and Jim Schultz. Jim Schultz, is this the Donald Trump that we should believe we will see lead us from now on?
Look, it was a great speech. It was very measured. And you know what? He has a lot to be proud of and a lot of accomplishments to tout. He did a nice job doing it tonight. And I think he's going to continue to do that through this campaign cycle. So, yes, I think this is what we should expect going forward. You're going to hear a lot of this at the rallies. You're going to hear, you know, look, he's packing rallies all over this country and conveying the same message directly to the American people.
No, he is
not.
not.
What he did tonight is what he did.
No, he is not.
What do you mean
He does not say what he said tonight at the rallies. He's not having a Tuskegee Airman show up at any of the rallies he's throwing. That's for sure.
Well,
you know
Jimmy.
What,
though? The message is jobs, economy, criminal justice reform, all the successes that this administration has had from day one. He touted tonight, and he continues to tout time and time again, as he should. The American people are taking notice.
Angela, you know how many Red Hat rallies? Jimmy, I hear you. Let me bring in Angela. How many Red Hat rallies have you heard where the president's touting criminal justice reform?
I haven't. And I think it's just so funny. We start this segment with, it reminds me of like new parents who are so proud of their kid taking their first boo-boo. That's what this is. Like, this dude is horrible. He lied throughout the entire speech. Like, that is exactly why Nancy Pelosi ripped up the speech. I think it was a little dramatic, but point well taken. Like, it is full of lies. He took credit for things that happened under the Obama administration. The same commentators that come on and say, why do we still talk about Obama? Because your president always talks about Barack Obama. He can't get over it, unlike the last administration. And yet, and still, he's taking credit for things that happened under the last administration. It was ridiculous.
The portraits in humanity were compelling. And the president started it, Bakari, with this notion, which we've heard from a lot of presidents. Listen to this.
Say to the people of our great country, and to the members of Congress, the state of our union is stronger than ever before.
Now, on the upside, this is a man who wouldn't shake the hand of the Speaker of the House, and then she ripped up his speech. So the state of our politics is certainly not better than ever before. But those portraits of humanity and the president trying to depict an empathetic look at the country, how concerning is that to you, Bakari?
I mean, I think as a practical political matter, it's concerning if you're trying to win an election. But the fact is that the state of our democracy is extremely fragile. I think we realize that. And what no one has said tonight is that the president of the United States was an impeached president of the United States giving his final State of the Union address. I think that has to be said. And I appreciate Jim Schultz's fervor and his advocating for his candidate and the president. However, the fact is that the president of the United States is a liar. You have, you know, the final 35 months of the Obama administration far outpace the first 35 months of the Trump administration in terms of job creation. That's something that you don't hear. The fact that the president wants to tout these reforms or trot out different African Americans to try to boost his stature amongst the African American community is as downright silly. I don't think, honestly, I don't think Donald Trump knows who the Tuskegee Airmen really are. I don't think he knows the plight of the Tuskegee Airmen. In fact, many of the individuals in that room, I dare say, even during this Black History Month, don't know. And let me just put a bow on it. Think about this. Donald Trump gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom during Black History Month to Rush Limbaugh. I mean, I don't know how else you surmise who Donald Trump is other than to say that is the most perverse thing I think anyone would ever imagine would happen during Black History Month. But that is par for the course for who Donald Trump is.
So, Jim, we know that Rush Limbaugh has cancer, advanced cancer. There's no question that will have a mitigating effect on how people judge him. I get the humanity in that. However, he is known for a very specific world of demagoguery. And what about that decision? On the one hand, you're talking about the Tuskegee Airmen, and then you're giving the Medal of Freedom to Rush Limbaugh during Black History Month.
So when is it a crime to be conservative in this country and to honor conservatives, especially one that quite frankly has been honored himself by conservatives across this country and a faithful radio show, very successful radio show for all those years. So I don't see any problem with it. I think the Tuskegee Airmen that was sitting there in the stands in that body tonight and stood up and saluted the President of the United States, and the President of the United States acknowledged him. I said that was a very, very special moment. And, to say, okay, now, he's just using that Tuskegee Airmen. I mean, he promoted the Brigadier General earlier today. That's a big deal. And
right, but how are you really honoring what the
reform,
Tuskegee
Chris,
Airmen represents if you have Rush
criminal
Limbaugh
justice
in the same
reform,
ceremony?
Chris, doesn't get done flat out. Criminal justice reform, which is going to help minorities across this country, doesn't get done without Donald Trump pushing it. It just doesn't happen. There's been no Democrat that's been able to get that done. It's been Donald Trump's effort to get that done, and we're seeing it happen with Republicans pushing this around the country.
Go ahead.
I know that you all are really into rewriting history, but I just want to help you with this. There's a congressman by the name of Hakeem Jeffries who pushed for the First Step Act, and that bill wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Hakeem Jeffries' efforts. Let's be very clear how the government is set up. Is legislation comes through the House.
You don't wrangle
and
Republican
Senate
votes
first.
on this
I'm
for
sorry,
that bill
I'm
without
sorry.
the President of the United States.
I know, and
it
you guys
doesn't
like
happen.
to. You guys like to
just
engage.
doesn't happen.
You
It doesn't
guys
get through the
like
Senate.
to
It
engage
doesn't get
in
through the House.
erasure.
Jimmy, hold on.
Just
Let
like
her
you're
finish.
speaking
Jimmy,
over me
hold
right
on.
now.
Angela,
you
finish.
like to engage in erasure.
I'm not the
and
one
that's
shouting.
not
You
going
seem
to
to be shouting.
because you're talking over me.
Yeah, go ahead,
Jim.
Angela. Finish
it
your
is
point.
a
Is that right?
perpetual problem with y'all. And what I'm telling you is, you continue to engage in erasure.
What's
just
the
like
perpetual problem with
and
y'all?
That,
Who are you referring to as y'all?
and I rest my point. You're still talking, and I have the floor. What I'm telling you is you continue to engage in erasure, and you're not going to do it on my watch in Black History Month. That's what I'm telling you. So Hakeem Jeffries would.
The bottom line is
it would not have happened without Hakeem.
Can I just say something? Can I
Go
say?
ahead, Bakari.
It doesn't happen.
Can I toss something? What I want to say is that let me have
Jimmy,
a moment
hold
of
on.
grace
Is
here,
helping to
because
pass
I-
criminal justice reform
Jimmy, hold
in
on.
states across this
Bakari, go
country.
ahead.
I just.
That
But
goes
I
unnoticed.
love a few things. One, I love a few things. I love the fact that Schultz is excited about criminal justice reform. I love that this is a new thing that Republicans talk about, because that's all Black folk really want is criminal justice reform, right? I hope the sarcasm just reigned over the program. But let me have a moment of grace
like
here.
every other
I just
American,
want to say one
you
thing.
know, African Americans want jobs, better
Jimmy,
economy,
let me
and all the
just
Jimmy,
things that
let him
President
finish
Trump
his
wanted.
point. Bakari, go ahead.
I'm not. Listen. Black folk want to talk on the show too. Show let us have a word. So what I'm not going to do is I'm going to have a moment of grace, and I'm going to say that I do not wish cancer on anyone, and I am reaching my prayers out to Rush Limbaugh. It's the grace that he hasn't bestowed on many others, let alone those who are poor and downtrodden in this country. But I do want to say that my prayers are with him. With that, though, we have to understand that people are very nuanced, and the misogyny and the racism that Rush Limbaugh has been pervasive throughout his career cannot be ignored when we're talking about tonight. And I think that is emblematic of who Donald Trump is and how it's woven into his presidency. You can't have someone who is a birther, someone who is exhibiting birtherism. And I just think that this is going to drive my conservative fans crazy. But I think that having a birther in Melania Trump award the Presidential Medal of Freedom to another birther in Rush Limbaugh in Black History Month really just talks about the point that Angela and I are making. And while you're championing criminal justice reform, thank you for that. I mean, the real credit actually goes to Hakeem Jeffries. The real credit actually goes to Cory Booker and Rand Paul. But thank you for making those first steps,
you didn't need any
because we still have a long way to go.
Senate, right?
You're just missing the point.
I'm just saying that you have a long way to go. And the fact of the matter is, look, with all due respect to the same president who referred to African countries as shithole countries, the same president who has been labeled as a racist and exactly so, because that is the behavior he exhibits, is the same president who gave that State of the Union speech. He's the same president running for president of the United States again. We won't forget that.
Nope.
Jimmy.
Oh, now he's quiet.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm
not quiet at all. Look, the one thing he talked about jobs, the economy, how people are doing better now than they were when he initially took office. That's a fact, and that's all this other stuff that you're talking about is just deflection from that, and that's all you're trying to do here because his record is good, his approval ratings are up, the Republican Party's approval ratings are up, and it's scaring the heck out of Democrats.
Well,
can I just, in the spirit of Black
let me ask you a
History
question.
Month,
Is it true that isn't it true that isn't it true that Barack Obama created more jobs than Donald Trump?
It's absolutely not true.
That's a question
and
to
look,
you.
it took him 8 years.
Oh my God! What do you, I mean, why are we having this conversation if you won't deal in facts?
The answer is yes, but they'll say that the two periods aren't the same measurement. And I'm going to talk about the economy and what the realities are of it in a second, but I'm out of time for this segment.
The realities are people are doing better today than they were yesterday.
He can't hear you, Chris.
No, he can hear. I got to go. Thank you, each and all.
I can hear.